Yo, we are back on the 630 amp project, and today we've already started the containment, the ladder rack. So I thought I would do some tutorial content. We haven't done any of that in a while, and we'd focus specifically on the trapezes that we're going to use to support our ladder rack. We've got two sort of different mounting methods for the trapezes. We've got bent rods and stuff like that. So yeah, there's a few different techniques to show you. Hopefully you'll learn something. I don't know, I thought it'd be interesting. So run the intro and get into this video. So you've been cracking on a little bit. This little bit of ladder is just resting. It's just to see sort of, the lines we would have. We're not doing any ladder, we're just focusing on the bracketry, basically, the trapeze brackets as they are called. So we've got a few of them in. We've got one more to put on here, but we're actually gonna have to bend it, so I'll show you that. These are with like G-clamps and stuff. And then up here, we're doing window brackets to fix a bit of uni, and then we're gonna have to come off of there and rod and do trapezes again. Tobes is just up there fixing a few more of these bits. I know bending rods is frowned upon. It's a tried and tested method used up and down the country. We're going to be doing it today. Let's build one of these G-clamp trapeze brackets together, and then I'll show you, fitting it and getting it connected to the purlins. This is one I've made earlier, and this is what we're basically going to do. I'm dressing this up a bit. It is so simple. It's literally like Meccano. We're going to start with a bit of threaded rod, and then a G-clamp. So this is all M10, and this is just a nice handy little clamp which will allow us to bolt to those purlins. Before I start threading it into there, I just want to get a nut on. Nuts are really handy with any sort of containment to obviously stop bits moving about. So what I can do is thread this into the G-clamp and knot round my high vis. And once that's poking through enough to get a nut on it, we can then spin this up, and once it's all tight, it's going to stop that moving about. This rod will never move. Then want to get another nut, spin that on there. We want enough thread showing so that it's all level. Sweet, get it all finger tight, and just grab a spanner then, just tighten it against the G-clamp, and now that rod is locked in there. It's not going anywhere, and that can simply hang on the purlin and get tightened up. And then again, these come with a little locking nut as well, just to keep it all secure. With all of this stuff, you just want to make sure it's rock solid, because we're going to be putting on two 185s. They weigh absolute ton. I don't know what the weight is per meter. If someone wants to find that out and put it in the comments, but I bet it's pretty heavy. So you want to make sure the containment system can take that weight. Once we've done this, we can then start spinning a nut on here. And this is the end that the Unistrut's going to go on. This is the trapeze end, basically. There are tools and techniques to get these nuts on, but I'm just going to show you the basic way. We're then going to go for a washer, and then we're going to go for a square plate. Now these two together, we are now ready for our uni. So we have solid uni here, so there's no slots in it. This wasn't intentional. I do prefer working with this stuff, but it is a pain. You have to drill it yourself. It weighs more, that sort of stuff. However, it is rock solid. It's a lot more durable. It's a lot better than slotted uni. We've drilled two 10mm holes in either end. And what we can do is slide these through, and then simply put on a washer, put on a nut, and that is going to pull that square plate onto there. And you can see that is our trapeze. Now, if you had slotted uni, you'd probably have another square plate on the bottom to stop it moving about. There's also various different ways to do it. You can overcook it, you can undercook it for sure, but this is the way I'm doing it. You then just want to get the other one in over here. There we go. You want another little washer and another little nut. There we go. Now I'm keeping this all loose because when we get this mounted to the purlin might be a bit wonky. These might be, you know, slightly longer a little bit. By leaving it all loose, we can get a level on it, get it all tightened up and locked in situ, which again is very important. Containment's all about having the right lines, the right levels, so you don't want to bolt this all together because you'll probably be moving it around when you get it up on the ceiling. This specific trapeze is actually going on the wonk. So what I'm going to do is remove these because I want to bend these rods before we fit it. It's going to be a hell of a lot easier to bend the rods on their own rather than trying to bend the whole trapeze. Again, we want it to be nice and straight. Although we're going to bend these rods, we want it to be straight. So yeah, all the other trapezes, this was fine, good to go, but with this one specific one, we're going to have to mount these on an angle and then bend them straight. So let's head over there now and I'll show you a real easy technique to bend these perfectly. We don't want any banana bends or anything like that. We want a nice clean bend close to the point of connection. So yeah, I'll show you the trick for doing that. As I showed you before, we got this bit of ladder coming up here and it's actually at an angle. So the problem is we sort of need to level out 90 round and then go that way. So at some point we need the tray to sort of, the ladder to level out. Now ideally it would have done it after this trapeze, but it can't. It needs to do it before, which means these fixings here, they can't be on the wonk like that. They need to be straight with the ladder. So the technique, like I said, some people frown upon this technique, but it's pretty standard. Now there's many different ways to do it. The best way that I've seen is by using a little bit of tube. So we'll get this tightened on here. Cheers, mate. There we go. Get the locking nut done. Look away, mate. You can grab a bit of tube, slide it on, and this is going to allow you to do a couple of things. First of all, you want the bend to be up here. You don't want it to be down the rods, because if we need to move this up or down, it's going to just be all over the gaff. It will also, like banana, it will have like a real curve to it. We want the bend at the top, and also this is going to allow you to get a lot of pressure on it, not hurt your hands, etc. So it's just quite a good technique. So I'm going to put that on there. I'm then going to get a level, and then we just want to bend at the top. You can see there, that's looking pretty good. There we go. So now, I mean, it's ever so subtle, but we have bent that just enough that the trapeze will sit level, the ladder will sit level on it, and now I'll just do it again on the other one, and then we can curve that round and level out that ladder nicely. That is how it's done.
Oh yeah.
Can't forget the old end caps. Am I on that side?
Yeah.
Sweet.
No.
No?
There he goes.
Right, so this is pretty much there. I believe this is actually going to come up a little bit because the pitch of the roof and the pitch of that ladder is going to be quite high. I actually overcooked the length of this massively, but we cut the rest of the rod to 800, so it sort of had to do. We are going to, if this was actually staying where it was, we'd just tighten these up like so. Tighten that square plate onto the top of there. Obviously, you've got the nut and the washer on the bottom, and then that's not going anywhere. That would be locked in. I'm not going to tighten this one up because, like I say, it's probably going to move up a little bit. But yeah, once you've got it level on the trapeze, You just tighten that up and yeah, it's ready for your ladder to just sit onto it and get clamped to the Unistrut. Bending technique was very subtle on here. So most of the bend's actually done in there. Yeah, it's a very tiny little subtle bend because these have a bit of play in them too. But it is bent. But when we do these ones here, I'll actually be able to show you that technique a lot better because the bend will be a serious bend, especially like that one up there. It will proper curl and come down. So yeah, I'll show you on that because it will be a little bit better. I'm also going to show you a little hack for galving the end of the Unistrut. I don't spray mine. I learnt a little tip on Instagram, so let's go show you that now. When you cut anything that's been galvanized, you're going to expose the raw metal underneath the galv coating. So when you cut Unistrut like this bit is no longer galvanized, which means if it is to get wet or yeah, come into contact with a rusty surface or whatever, it's going to rust. It's obviously going to affect the integrity of the Unistrut. It's no good. So it's good practice to galv spray it. So what a lot of people do is they spray it like so. Yeah, very common. You see it all the time. When they do that, not only is it all over my hands, it's in the air or whatever, but it's sort of sprayed all up the sides. Now, when it dries, this is what it dries like. You can see it don't look too good, to be honest with you. It looks a bit rubbish. Now, obviously, you know, we're just trying to get the galv protection there. You might not care how it looks. However, on Instagram, good 4 or 5 years ago, a guy called Grant G-Lec showed me a technique. Now, if I had the cap for this can, you can spray it into the cap. That's probably the best way to do it, but it does ruin the cap. But what you can do here is spray a load of it on here. You want a nice deep layer of it. You can then take your untreated end, dip it in the end, and that has left us with a nice, clean, galvanized paint or galvanized protected end. So much neater than that. So much neater than that. You can see when it dries, it just dries very subtly. And then by the time you get an end cap on the end, you can't even tell it's been done. So yeah, that is just a little tip that I learned and I thought I'd share it with you guys. So when it comes to fitting these, it's super simple. Obviously we've cut a bit of uni, about 150, which spans from one purlin to the other. And then we're just using these window brackets. So the way they work, there's basically a little bolt in them like that. That's gonna sit on there. Tobes has already marked where it needs to go. Sit on there, we'll slide the uni through, tighten that up. And then we just do exactly the same over here. So I'll try to do this with one hand, with my glamorous assistant. So we'll slide into this one first. Sweet. Right, I'm on, you're on, but we're a bit on the... Where's this mark here?
My side.
Oh, all the way over there.
Yeah.
Sweet. And you just want to make sure that's sat where you want, and then you can just do them up finger tight to start with so that they bite. After that, you then want to crank them up with a socket, and you'll see that is literally not going anywhere. You could hang off that. In fact, that's literally what we've been doing. There we go, look. She's not going anywhere. And that is, yeah, a window bracket. If you've never seen one of them before, we can then come off of here in rod, bend the rod, and trapeze, like we have been over there. So our delivery's just turned up with zebs and all sorts, and now we can start doing the rod drops on the bits of uni that we've done up there. So I'm going to show you building one of them, and then we'll probably get some lunch, and then we'll start fitting them and be able to finish that first bit of ladder that I've been waffling on about all day. So the bits of uni that we got on the window brackets, we then just made these up. So what we've got is a nut, a little washer, a square washer, and then a channel nut or a zeb. The reason why we call them zebs is because they do usually come with a little spring on. The spring is just handy to keep it in place in the channel. At the wholesalers though, they gave us short zebs, so they're pretty useless. So when they are doing nothing, I prefer to remove them, just because I think it looks a lot better. And when it's done, it will look something like that. Obviously that all needs to be tightened up, but that will all wedge together like so. That will tighten into there, and then that will be inverted on the ceiling. And then these are the bits, like I say, that we've got to bend, because they'll basically be dropping down, but they'll be on the wonk because they'll be running with the ceiling, so we'll just have to bend them straight. Okay. So we'll go take these over there, and we'll fit some of them, and then get some ladder up for you guys to see, yeah, what the crack is. Seen this from Unistrut. When it comes to this, there are different ways you can do it. As we found. You do just wing it a little bit. But what you want to do is get it roughly in the right place. You're not going to know because obviously it's on the wonk. And get that tight. That really helps. If you get that super tight before you bend it, then it just makes the whole thing a hell of a lot easier. Again, luckily we've messed around with a couple of other ones, so we know roughly where to put them. And when it comes to bending, you just want to be a little bit off the top.
What do you buy, Unistrut?
Right, they're roughly right. Now, before we do anything, we want to go make sure these are about 400 off the laser line, which that one, pretty much bang on. And that one could probably come to me a little bit. So again, it's all guesstimation, but getting it roughly in the right place, it's just going to help. Again, when you're tightening everything back up, you want to make sure the rod don't rotate. There we go. Again, hopefully that's roughly about 400 away, give or take. That will do. The reason why it's tricky is because there's just so much play in everything, basically. We don't know the exact angle we're bending these, don't know the exact pitch of the roof, the way the uni's sitting, etc. So I think it's just dead hard to get it absolutely perfect. Again, because we've messed around with a couple of other ones, I know roughly where to get these nuts and stuff. But beforehand, there was a lot of messing about. Didn't make for very good content, so we got a couple sort of sized up. Same with this one behind us. And now we, yeah, you know what the crack is. So that is roughly where I want it. I then want to get 2 of these. 2 square plates, please, Tobes. This one, mate. Right, so we'll get that on. Making sure we've got our line facing towards the laser, because that's going to make our life a lot easier. Just get that loosely on there. And then we'll do this side. Washer, nut. I know for a fact I want about, 100 mil. side you want about that much. First of all, we'll start checking these. So that's pretty good as far as rod goes. That's pretty good as far as rod goes.
That's pretty good.
That's pretty good as far as uni goes. So we'll get this banged on the bottom of that.
Give it a little pull that way. Is it tight at the top?
Yeah, tight at the top, not down here though.
Yeah, give that a proper yank from. Hang on.
That's the problem as well. Once you sort of start tightening stuff up, it does move a bit. How's that looking?
That's good.
Yeah?
Yeah.
That's level. That's level. Pretty good within the lines. That's bang on. Cool. And that is what we're doing basically. If I take the camera off the tubes, you can see we've just got a bit of ladder laid on that one. It needs to get centered up, etc. But yeah, they'll just sit on there like so. We've got that one there. I mean, this one could do with a little push. This one could do with a little push that way. There you go. But once you get the ladder on and you get it clamped together, it will sort of pull it all together. And that's why I've done a whole video on trapezes, because without trapezes, you've got no containment, you've got no ladder system. Obviously we've got these ones with the window brackets, etc. We've got them ones down there that we spoke about earlier on in the video with the G brackets. There is so many different ways to do containment and to connect it to different parts of different buildings and stuff like that. Obviously the system we've been doing today works for the building we're in. It's also really efficient to install. It's like a day and a half in and we're absolutely flying. So that's something you should always consider when you're trying to work out how to do something. And yeah, it just works for the place we're in. Obviously there's many ways to skin a cat, many different ways to do containment and stuff like that. It's just like grown men's Meccano, really. This is the system we've chosen and hopefully it makes sense to you guys watching. Tomorrow we're actually going to start fitting some ladder properly, not just using it to level the trapezes, but actually bolting down the ladder, etc. So there'll be a whole nother video on that coming soon, where we're going to be fitting the ladder to the trapeze system, joining bits of ladder together, connecting the prefabricated bends, creating our own bends using the hinged brackets that come with the Swiss system, just going through all of that stuff. So that should be another good one. I'm actually really enjoying YouTube again, just because having my own company, doing my own work and doing my own jobs has just allowed me to get back to my roots a little bit, making these educational videos that are just about graft, about sharing knowledge, learning together sometimes as well. Just makes it really enjoyable, rather than making videos for video's sake or trying to meet a schedule, an upload schedule with like vloggy stuff or bits and bobs. Not that content doesn't have its place, and I do sometimes enjoy making the videos at the container and stuff like that, but yeah, this is where it's at, so that's really important. As always, if you haven't already, please like the video, that really supports me. Make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss any of the future videos coming out. Lots coming up on this project, and I'll catch you guys on the next one.